For 30,000 years, the galaxy had known peace. Not harmony, not friendship, peace. There was a difference. Entire civilizations rose and collapsed beneath the ancient laws written after the Rupture Wars, the catastrophic age when stars themselves had been weaponized and entire sectors burned into radioactive graves. The memory of that era had scarred every intelligent species deeply enough that war became more than forbidden. It became unthinkable. The concord of systems enforced the peace with terrifying efficiency. Every military fleet was dismantled. Planetary weapons were monitored. Artificial intelligences capable of tactical command were outlawed. Even aggressive language in diplomacy was regulated. Conflict became ritualized into trade sanctions, economic maneuvering, political isolation, and controlled arbitration overseen by the Concord Tribunal. 30,000 years. No invasions, no planetary bombardments, no armies crossing stars. The galaxy considered itself evolved. Then, humanity arrived. At first, humans seemed unremarkable. A young species from an isolated yellow star system near the edge of mapped space, primitive by galactic standards. Their faster-than-light drives were crude, their cybernetics inefficient, their medicine inelegant. But they adapted disturbingly fast. Within 50 years of first contact, humans had become major industrial partners. Within a century, they were everywhere. Mining colonies, research stations, trade hubs, shipping routes. Human engineers rebuilt failing infrastructure no one else could repair. Human doctors volunteered for plague worlds other species abandoned. Human freighters crossed unstable corridors others refused to navigate. They were loud, emotional, unpredictable, and impossible to intimidate. The older races found them unsettling. The Thal Dominion once threatened economic retaliation during a trade dispute. The human ambassador laughed in the middle of the tribunal hearing. Actually laughed. "We survived our own history," Ambassador Elias Kane had said calmly. "You people think tariffs are terrifying." The statement became infamous. At the time, most species assumed it was arrogance. They did not yet understand. Humanity had evolved on a death world. Not metaphorically, a genuine death world. Predators hunted for sport, microorganisms killed by the millions, weather systems erased cities. The planet itself constantly attempted to exterminate its dominant species through earthquakes, floods, storms, droughts, radiation, disease, and famine. And humanity had not merely survived. They had conquered it. The galaxy admired humanity's resilience while quietly dismissing their violent history as primitive barbarism left behind. The archives detailing human wars were sealed in restricted Concord databases. Most species avoided reading them. Those who did usually stopped after the first few centuries. The casualty numbers became incomprehensible, the methods horrifying. Humanity itself rarely discussed its past, which, in hindsight, should have terrified everyone. Because predators that boast are dangerous, but predators that stay quiet are worse. The first warning came from the outer colonies. The Jorathy Collective vanished in 11 hours. No distress calls, no survivors, only silence. Concord investigators arrived days later to discover orbital habitats shattered into drifting debris fields, cities reduced to molten scars, fleet docks annihilated. No known weapon signatures matched the destruction. The galaxy panicked instantly. For the first time in millennia, fear spread faster than commerce. Then came the transmission. Every communication relay across known space activated simultaneously. A single symbol appeared on billions of screens. A black circle surrounded by 3 red slashes. No species recognized it. Then the message played. "We are the Kharon Ascendancy." The voice sounded mechanical, cold, ancient. For 30,000 cycles, this galaxy has decayed in weakness. Peace has made you soft. Division has made you vulnerable. Images flashed across the broadcast. Burning worlds, destroyed fleets, corpses floating through vacuum. We bring renewal through conquest. Resistance will be erased. Compliance will be rewarded. Then came the line that froze entire governments. War has returned. The transmission ended. Panic exploded across civilized space. Emergency sessions of the Concord Tribunal convened immediately. Economic leaders screamed over each other. Planetary governors demanded evacuation protocols. Scientists scrambled to identify the unknown invaders. But the worst realization came slowly. No one remembered how to fight. Not truly. Security forces existed, yes. Anti-piracy patrols, local defense platforms, small tactical units. But actual warfare, fleet strategy, mass mobilization, planetary defense coordination, those arts had died 30,000 years ago. Entire civilizations had forgotten the mechanics of survival. Except one: humanity. The emergency summit on Athon Prime became the largest political gathering in recorded history. 412 species crowded into the colossal chamber beneath the Concord spire. Fear poisoned the air. Holographic projections displayed system after system going dark. The Kharon Ascendancy advanced without slowing. They did not negotiate, did not communicate beyond demands for surrender. Entire fleets vanished attempting resistance. The Concord Defense Authority estimated total collapse within 2 years, maybe less. A Thal strategist addressed the chamber with visible panic. "We must sue terms immediately. Survival requires compromise." Another delegate snapped. "They exterminated 12 billion civilians on Jorith." "Then we must offer unconditional compliance." "Compliance?" shouted a Valorian diplomat. "They burned children alive in atmosphere." "They are stronger than us." "They are stronger than you," a new voice interrupted calmly. The chamber fell silent. Human Ambassador Elias Kane stood near the rear observation platform with his hands clasped behind his back. No fear, no panic, just quiet focus. The Thal delegate glared at him. "You find this amusing, human?" Kane tilted his head slightly. "No." "Then perhaps humanity would like to offer alternatives instead of insults." For a moment, Kane simply studied the chamber. Hundreds of terrified species stared back. Finally, he spoke. "You really forgot everything."
The words landed like ice. "The Concord outlawed war," snapped a tribunal elder. "No," Kane replied softly. "You outlawed memory." Silence deepened. Kane walked slowly toward the center platform. "You believed peace was permanent because you stopped teaching yourselves why war happens." The holograms shifted as new casualty reports flooded in. Another colony destroyed, another fleet gone. The Kharon didn't end peace. Peace ended the moment people forgot how fragile it was. A Concord official pointed accusingly. "Humanity maintained illegal military infrastructure, didn't you?" Kane smiled faintly. "No." Relief swept briefly through the chamber. Then he continued, "We maintained legal military infrastructure." Confusion spread instantly. "That's impossible," someone whispered. "It shouldn't be," Kane replied. He tapped a control panel. New images appeared across the chamber. Human fleets, massive ones, rows upon rows of warships hidden in classified shipyards beyond Sol space, carrier groups, siege platforms, planetary defense arrays, autonomous drone legions. The chamber erupted in chaos. "You violated Concord law." "No," Kane said evenly. "We obeyed it exactly." "How?" "Your laws banned offensive militarization against Concord member species. Humanity complied." The realization hit slowly. Someone near the front whispered in horror, "You prepared for something outside the Concord." Kane looked directly at him. "Yes." "Why?" The human ambassador's expression never changed. "We read our own history." Silence consumed the chamber again. A military projection appeared beside Kane. Admiral Sophia Reyes, commander of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Unlike the diplomats, she looked almost relaxed. "Ladies and gentlemen, humanity formally recognizes the Kharon Ascendancy as an existential hostile power." The phrase meant nothing to most species. To humans, it meant total war. Reyes continued, "Effective immediately, the Sol Defense Accord is activated. Human military assets are transitioning to wartime operations." A Valorian representative stared in disbelief. "How many military assets?" Kane answered quietly, "All of them." Then the numbers appeared. 40,000 combat vessels, 3 million autonomous strike drones, 800 carrier groups, planetary rail cannon networks, Titan-class siege cruisers, genetic combat divisions, cyber warfare intelligences, mobilization reserves exceeding the population of several star nations. The chamber watched in stunned silence. Humanity had built the largest war machine in galactic history and hidden it behind smiles and trade agreements. The Thal delegate looked horrified. "How long?" Kane met his gaze. "Since first contact." "You expected this?" "No, we prepared for it." The Kharon reached the Helios corridor 12 days later. Their fleet darkened entire sectors. Thousands of black warships moved in perfect mechanical synchronization, erasing colonies ahead of them. The Concord Defense Authority ordered evacuation. Humanity ordered deployment. Across Sol space, ancient protocols awakened. Shipyards hidden inside moons opened. Weapons platforms emerged from asteroid belts. Factories switched from civilian production to military output within hours. Human civilization transformed with terrifying speed. Schools became logistics centers. Freighters became supply carriers. Civilian pilots joined reserve fleets. Entire populations mobilized almost instinctively. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Humanity did not fear war. Humanity remembered it. Aboard the flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Reyes stood before a tactical projection of the Kharon advance. Her officers moved with calm efficiency. No panic, no hesitation. One young alien observer from the Concord finally gathered enough courage to ask the question haunting the galaxy.
"Why are your people so calm?" Reyes glanced at him briefly. "Because this isn't new." The observer stared. "But this scale of conflict is smaller than several wars in our own history." The alien went pale. Reyes zoomed the tactical map outward. "Kharon doctrine is straightforward.
Overwhelming force, psychological dominance, rapid extermination campaigns. You understand them already? Reyes almost smiled. We invented half those strategies. The first battle began near the dead world of Karthus. The Kharon expected another terrified defense fleet. Instead, they encountered the first Terran strike armada. The galaxy watched the engagement live through emergency relay networks. At first, the Kharon advanced confidently. Then, humanity opened fire. Rail cannons accelerated tungsten projectiles at relativistic velocity. Entire Kharon cruisers vanished instantly. Drone swarms flooded enemy formations like mechanical locusts. Human carrier groups launched fighters in numbers the galaxy thought impossible. The Kharon adapted quickly. Humanity adapted faster. For every destroyed Terran vessel, the humans eliminated 3 enemy ships, then 5, then 10. The Concord observers watching the battle slowly realized something horrifying. Humans were enjoying themselves. Not individually, not with cruelty, but with terrifying focus. Every movement carried ancient instinct. Coordination became almost artistic. Human fleets fought like a species born for organized violence, because they were. The Kharon attempted orbital suppression. Human cyber warfare units crippled their targeting systems. They launched boarding assaults. Human Marines met them in brutal, close-quarters combat that lasted less than 8 minutes. Afterward, intercepted Kharon communications revealed confusion spreading through their command structure. The humans were not behaving like prey, they were behaving like predators. Worse, predators with experience. When the battle ended, the Kharon lost 1/3 of their invasion fleet. Human losses remained under projected thresholds. The galaxy erupted in shock. The invincible enemy had been stopped, not barely, decisively. Across civilized space, millions watched human fleets move toward the front lines with cold determination. The ancient peace was dead, and humanity looked disturbingly prepared for its funeral. 3 weeks into the war, the Kharon changed tactics. Until then, they had treated humanity as merely another resistant species. That mistake ended after Karthus. Now they studied humans carefully, and what they discovered unsettled even them. Captured military records revealed impossible truths. Human history contained over 20,000 recorded wars, civil conflicts, world wars, religious wars, resource wars, ideological wars, proxy wars, cold wars, genetic wars, machine wars. Humans had spent most of their existence fighting, not continuously, but consistently. Conflict shaped their psychology, technology, governments, art, economics, and evolution itself. War was not alien to humanity. War was part of humanity. The Kharon Supreme Intelligence issued a classified assessment soon afterward. Humans demonstrate adaptive aggression capabilities beyond predictive models. Extended conflict increases their operational efficiency rather than degrading morale. That single sentence terrified the Kharon leadership, because it meant the longer the war continued, the stronger humanity became. Meanwhile, human industries surpassed every mobilization estimate. Civilian corporations transformed into weapons manufacturers overnight. Artificial intelligences once restricted to commercial logistics shifted into battlefield coordination. Retired veterans returned to service by the millions. Entire generations volunteered before conscription became necessary. The Concord could barely comprehend it. One alien journalist interviewed a human factory worker on Mars. "Aren't you afraid?" she asked. The worker shrugged while assembling missile guidance systems. "Of course." "Then why continue?" The man looked confused by the question. "Because that's what people do when monsters show up." The interview spread across the galaxy. Simple, direct, terrifyingly human. The Kharon launched their largest offensive 4 months later. 2,000 warships emerged near the Vega expanse with enough firepower to sterilize planets. Their goal was obvious: break humanity publicly,
destroy Earth, end morale. The galaxy held its breath. Emergency evacuation protocols activated across Sol space. Civilian populations descended into underground shelters, and humanity didn't flinch.
No riots, no surrender demands, no collapse. Only preparation. On Luna, children continued attending school beneath shield bunkers. On Mars, factories increased production by 40%. On Earth, civilians gathered in crowded bars watching fleet updates with grim determination. Humanity had seen extinction threats before: asteroids, plagues, nuclear standoffs, climate disasters, world wars. Their species survived all of it. The Kharon were merely the latest entry on a very long list. The final battle for Sol began at 0416 Universal Standard Time, the largest fleet engagement in galactic history. Thousands of vessels collided in orbit around humanity's home system. Stars disappeared behind weapons fire. Entire formations vanished in nuclear storms. Kharon dreadnoughts pushed relentlessly toward Earth. Human fleets counterattacked with near-suicidal aggression. The casualty numbers became incomprehensible within hours. Still, humanity held. Then, Admiral Reyes made her decision. Authorize Ragnarok Protocol. Several officers froze. Ma'am, do it. Across the battlefield, hidden Terran vessels activated simultaneously. The Kharon detected energy spikes too late. Space itself distorted. Humanity's experimental gravity weapons ignited across the Sol perimeter. Entire regions of space-time collapsed inward. Kharon warships folded into themselves like crushed metal paper. Hundreds disappeared instantly. The remaining enemy formations broke for the first time in recorded Kharon history. They tried retreating. Humanity pursued, not recklessly, professionally, methodically, like a species that understood exactly what unfinished wars become. 17 hours later, the Kharon invasion fleet ceased to exist. The silence afterward felt unreal. Across the galaxy, billions stared at the battle reports in stunned disbelief. Humanity had done the impossible. They had not merely survived, they had defeated the civilization that ended 30,000 years of peace. The Concord Tribunal reconvened weeks later. This time, the atmosphere felt very different. No one looked at humanity the same way anymore. Fear mixed with gratitude in every stare. Ambassador Kane stood before the assembly once more. An elder finally asked the question haunting the galaxy. Why didn't humanity tell us? Kane remained silent for several seconds. Then he answered softly. Because every time humans talk honestly about our history, the galaxy looks at us like monsters. No one argued. Another delegate spoke carefully. You built all this because you expected another war someday? No, Kane replied. Because peace without strength is temporary. The chamber fell silent again. Kane looked across the assembled species. You believed war was erased because you outlawed weapons. His expression hardened slightly. But war doesn't begin with weapons. The holograms behind him displayed ruined worlds left by the Kharon invasion. It begins when people forget evil still exists. No one spoke after that, because deep down, every species in the chamber understood something now. Humanity had not preserved war because they loved violence. Humanity preserved war because they understood the cost of forgetting it.
The galaxy's 30,000-year peace had ended in fire. But civilization survived because one species remembered how to fight for it. And somewhere beyond explored space, scattered remnants of the Kharon Ascendancy transmitted urgent warnings into the dark between galaxies. Warnings about Earth. Warnings about humanity. Warnings about the smiling species that came from a death world and treated extinction like a challenge. The final Kharon message, intercepted by Concord intelligence, was translated weeks later. It contained only one sentence: "Do not wake the humans again."